Warframe is a free space ninja game. Well, mostly. Let us aside the free part away first. Space ninja? Well, not like everyone will want to be played as a ninja. Consider that people will just bombard all the way through the whole level, like, why do I need to be stealthy like a ninja? Huh? But there's actually a Warframe that did design as a ninja and did play as a ninja. That's right, Ash. In a normal playthrough, you don't really see people play Ash, mainly because Wukong are a much more better choice, as he is a much more versatile in every mission. But if let's say you go into Steel Path, especially those endurance mission, Wukong will a little bit struggle, but Ash, he's just begin his fury. But how strong he actually is, that's what we're gonna try to take a look in this video to see that how strong can Ash be. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. Ash is one of the few frames that his ability are overall strong, from the very bottom passive up to the highest fourth ability. Mostly, his passive allow all bleed damage deal 25% extra damage and last 50% longer. Usually, your bleed damage will dealing 100% damage and last 6 seconds. Under the Ash Hand, it will deal 125% damage and last for 9 seconds. This will be useful not only because you increase the bleed damage overall, but it will also be beneficial for a Helminth ability that we'll be using afterward. I will explain in detail later on. For Ash's first ability, Shuriken allow Ash to throw shurikens to the enemies. Usually these shuriken don't really have that much damage, as most of your weapon can deal quite such high slash damage to the enemies. But the reason why we somehow still want to use this ability thanks to its armor seeking shuriken, which allows shuriken has the ability to armor strip. With a little bit of extra ability strength, shuriken has the ability to fully strip the enemy's armor. While Ash's second ability, Smoke Screen, allows Ash to throw a smoke bomb and become invincible, while briefly stun the enemy. Those briefly stun don't even care about that much, as we just want to become invincible. But then again, the reason why this ability is useful not only because it will allow squishy frame Ash to not be seen by enemies, but the augment Smoke Shadow allow Ash to gain extra 150% crit chance when it becomes invincible through Smoke Shadow. And for his third ability, Teleport, allow Ash to teleport in front of the enemies, make them more vulnerable to finishing kill. Usually, this ability can be useful if let's say you want to do the finishing kill streak, let's say about getting the extra stealthy affinity bonus. Yes, this could be useful, but most situations, especially for Steel Power Endurance, you don't really use this. And finally, for his strongest fourth ability, Blaze Storm, the ability that has static and can scale with melee combo counter. Blaze Storm allows Ash to first enter a mode where he needs to mark an enemy. Casting this ability don't cost energy, but marking, yes. While the marking energy cost will be reduced by half if you being invincible, so it's better to use Smoke Screen before you use Blaze Storm. When you mark enough enemies, you can uncast it and all those shadow clones will start to damage those enemies. If you cast teleport onto one marked enemies, you will not use any energy on their teleport users, and you will join your shadow clone into this fury of dance. Wow, that's so cool. Despite Blaze Storm is an ability that requires stat state, the melee mods it can use are quite limited. It can only use attack speed, combo, and steel charge aura mod. Especially for attack speed, it will increase the attack speed of your shadow clone as well as Ash itself. While for volt speed, Valkyrie Warcry and Arcane Strike can only be used on Ash itself, not the shadow clone. Now, we have gone through all his ability, and we realized that the third ability, Teleport, not really useful, especially in Steel Path Endurance mission. So this is the ability that we might be taking off, but what ability should we choose from? Remember when we talked about his passive where it can increase the damage and the duration of bleed damage? Yes, we need ability that can scale well with this kind of situation. And you know what it is? Expedite Suffering. The reason why most of the players who play Ashe always want to pick this Helminth ability is because Expert Suffering allow you to compile all the remaining duration of the slash and toxin dots damage into a single burst damage. Despite they compile all damage into a single burst, but it has a final multiplier for Expert Suffering, and this will scale the ability strength. Now, going through all of Ashe abilities, this is the build that I come up with. I'm using Seeking Shuriken and Smoke Shadow. These two augments will be extremely useful for Ashe. And Rolling Guard here, because Ashe is a squishy frame and I do not want to make it into a health tanky frame. So I'm just relying on this to stay survive as long as possible. What's so interesting is that you can see that I'm just using only one Umbra Intensify for my ability strength. The key here is that I want to make sure that Shuriken can achieve full armor strip with the minimum strength as possible. And you can see that 144 is exactly enough to reach full armor strip. But this also means that Expert Suffering damage multiplier can only reach up until 1.44. Would this be enough? Well, here's the thing. If let's say your base damage are relatively high, do you really think that this will be matters? And for my duration here, I was thinking that should I go with high duration? But consider that small screen base duration value only have 8 seconds. I realized that no matter how high duration I want to go with, it won't reach up to the value I'm hoping for. So I'm just using Prime Continuity and Augur Message. This also means that I can go more on the energy pool. In other words, I'm using Prime Flow, Streamline, and Arcane Energize so that I can assure that I have massive energy reserve. For my Arcane slot here, you can go with whatever you want. I use more efficiency because I don't have anything to go with. As well as the Aura slot here, you can also go whatever you want, maybe like Steel Charge, Swift Momentum, just your preference. And for my Excellent slot here, I'm using Prime Sure-Footed because I feel so annoyed by those Xmas unique knockdown. So I use this to negate them, not because Akuvas are, trust me. And there you have it, my Ashe build. Really feel surprised that no one really talk about this frame. Especially Ashe is a very strong frame that can nuke enemies so easily. Maybe it is hard to get? Well, I understand, that's why we have Prime Resurgent. Though you may need to wait for a little while. Who knows that maybe the next rotation will be Ashe, I suppose? But then again, if you get Ashe and you really want to invest in him, I can tell you, it will never disappoint you. So, what are you waiting for? Get ready to get Ashe and become the real space ninja. If this is your first time watching, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel so that you won't miss out any newest content from me. Why not leave your comment down below if you got any ideas or thought you want to share with all of us. And that is from me, and as always, I will see you all next time. Bye bye!